The latest Closing the Gap report card on Indigenous disadvantage shows just one target is on track to be met. Little to no progress has been made on child mortality, unemployment and literacy. Here's political reporter Dan Conifer.
We are still not making enough progress.
There was rare agreement among our political leaders.
There are problems written across the land, in suburbs and remote communities.
And both were admitting failures.
This target is not on track. Also not on track. Not on track either.
6 of 7 Closing the Gap targets are not on track. In education, it's early childhood education, school attendance along with literacy and numeracy. But more kids are finishing Year 12. Employment has gone backwards since 2008, with less than half of adults in jobs. On health, life expectancy is rising, but not quickly enough. And after the deaths of 600 Indigenous infants and toddlers in 4 years, child mortality is tragically wide of the mark.
We are also reminded of the fragility of life. I'm very saddened and disappointed that the target to halve the gap in Indigenous child mortality is not on track.
1 in 7 is not good enough. We need to have 100%.
With billions of dollars spent annually, yet scant evidence about what actually works, the government has announced a new productivity commissioner to scrutinise Indigenous programs, while Labor has opened the door on compensation for members of the stolen generation.
This is the right thing to do. It's at the heart of reconciliation, telling the truth, saying sorry, and making good.
With Aboriginal leaders and communities watching on, just talking the talk in Indigenous affairs won't cut it, so long as the gap remains. Dan Conifer, ABC News, Canberra.
Education remains a big concern, but a small Indigenous primary school has managed to dramatically lift results for its students without government funding. Indigenous Affairs correspondent Bridget Brennan reports.
On a bush campus north of Sydney, there's a little revolution taking place. A partnership between an Indigenous land council and one of Australia's most prestigious private schools.
I look at these kids as being our future doctors, our future politicians, our future engineers, and I see that we're giving them the best possible start to get to that point.
Sean Gordon heads the Darkinjung Land Council on the New South Wales Central Coast. Education is the key, hence Darkinjung Barker linking with Sydney's Barker College. It began with no government funding. Money comes from corporate donations, keeping fees low.
We didn't want to get bogged down trying to appease government when we developed the school. We wanted to be able to say, well, here's an opportunity, let's do it, let's make it happen.
It's starting small, a co-ed school for 28 students, solely for Indigenous families in the area.
And make it into a chocolate ice cream.
Barker College takes care of the teaching.
There is absolutely no reason why Aboriginal children cannot be performing as well as, if not better than, any other child in this country.
Small class sizes at Darkinjung Barker means a ratio of 1 teacher to 7 students.
I reckon it's good here, so you're not all crowded in spaces and stuff.
Darkinjung Barker opened up at the start of last year, and while it's an expensive model, it is an effective one. Some of the students here have lifted up to 5 years in literacy and numeracy levels in just 12 months.
To be able to grow, in levels 3 to 5 years is truly amazing.
Nearly all reading and numeracy benchmarks still aren't being met by Indigenous children, but change starts in places like this, communities taking charge. Bridget Brennan, ABC News, Yarramalong.